This is it. Oh yes, you thought you
open your eyes and see.
Yeah, you guys thought
that your eyes are open.
You guys thought that we were rid of this, but no, it always finds a way to come back. Robot unicorn attack will always be on the attack upon your souls.
Right into the open. When it's cold outside and I hear in there, so long to the night, there will be no shame. Change of key. Always I wanna be with you and make believe with you and live in harmony, harmony all life.
Yes.
So it is fair to say that this song was the voice of a generation.
That and plus, it is basically stayed in the souls of everybody who heard it.
Yes, and we all heard it thanks to this Adult Swim produced video game, Flash Game, which is one of those many titles that managed to survive the great Flash Oblivion of 2020. Yes, I am calling it the Great Flash Oblivion. I know it sounds like a forgotten Elder Scrolls game, but here we are.
Yep.
A DLC maybe for Oblivion.
And yes, this is definitely a very unisex game indeed, because you have this 80s looking background with the lines and the galaxy and the cosmos. You have this unicorn here, this stallion or mare, whatever you would like to see it as.
I'm sorry. I think I had a bit of a brain aneurysm. Did you just say unisex?
Yeah, very unisex, because obviously it's like it has everything for both men and women and everyone in between.
The girls have the cute unicorn horsey, and the boys have crashing and explosions, all the things that only boys like.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes, totally. And there's no crossover between these genders there. So you don't get boys liking girly things, and you don't get girls liking big explosions, even though my wife likes tragedies.
It's funny you should say that, because I still remember the My Little Pony version of this specific game, which is the version I played, and wouldn't you know it, My Little Pony back in the day was very much liked by boys.
Yep.
Also.
Yep, boys and girls love the show because, you know...
Yes.
For
there is
reasons.
Better out there than My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but this was about 10 years ago. It was 2013, I believe.
Would you say 10 years ago today?
That only works if it's 20 years ago today. And the answer is no, by the way. So, Cyber Unicorn Attack. Attack of the Unicorn, which is cybernetic and crashes through things. It is a endlessly looping running game. The kind you might find on mobile phones. Except this one was a flash game, a browser flash game from back in the day. So play it.
Yes, I will play it. So... I might need to get reacclimated to the controls, because it's been a fair few years.
There are two controls, jump and special attack.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I need to get reacclimated with things.
Right.
By the way, just so you know, there is music, but we had to shut off the music because copyright...
Because it's that song.
Because it's the song that everyone loves. This is it. Z to jump, and oh, I've already lost, and there's a beheaded unicorn, robot unicorn. Oh well, let's do this again.
Yes, that will be pretty much the leitmotif for tonight's show. So, welcome to the newest episode of the MADPlay podcast, featuring Cyber Robot. What's the title attack?
Robot Unicorn Attack.
A Robot Unicorn Attack! Yes. If you forgot about this game, well, now you will not.
Yes, now you'll
Again.
be reminded of why it exists.
It's a fun game, actually.
It actually is very fun. I remember me and my sweetheart, well, basically played it a lot, when it first came out.
It's the same kind of fun, addicting fun that brought me to play Cookie Run, if you recall. Clearly, this is much less polished than Cookie Run, Oven Break.
It makes up for its simplicity. Oh, I have to start over because I end up getting 17,000 out of my free turns.
Right. Do you remember what you need to do? That the special attack is to break through the star-shaped obstacles?
That's what I've been doing, yes.
Yes, you have a double jump.
I've been using that to my advantage, yes.
Okay.
I have basically, it all came back to me as soon as I started playing.
Yes. Always comes back to you. Right. So, let's get to the topics for tonight, shall we?
Yes, I think we should.
I have a bit of a light-hearted snack. There is this article on the Wall Street Journal, which I could not fully read because it's either behind a paywall or you have to be subscribed to the newspaper, and I'm not going to do either of those things. However, the concept of that article was too much of a good time to pass it off. I need to talk about this. Because apparently, during the pandemic, a lot of preschool children in America have been watching a ton of Peppa Pig, of all things.
I've heard about that just today, actually, yes.
And as such, so you know where this is going,
Yes,
as
I do.
such, they started to sport a bit of a British inflection in their speech patterns, bringing to the table some popular British slang. Since they are of that real young age that through osmosis they learn to speak in a way that befits the environment in which they grow up. In this case, the environment is Peppa Pig. And Peppa Pig is very British.
Extremely British.
So, I had this image in my head of a time in the future in which the pandemic is over and Billy Mason Man in the middle dead center of the Midwestern American continent, whatever the heck that means geographically, goes back to school and starts to say, "Core, blimey, I'm having a giraffe today." Oi, what's up with those Yanks?
Meanwhile, I'm just basically thinking.
It's just so amusing.
It's like,
Core.
blimey, mate, that was a right bomber, that was.
Oh, this is a right proper cricket, it is. Or something.
I don't know what was wrong with them. They're having a right bomber, those people outside.
Those are silly people.
They're very balmy, those people.
Well, bollocks to that, I say. Just the idea is so inherently funny. I don't know why. Yes, imagine Ma and Pa, they are from Chicago. They speak like this, and then little Billy Mason Man says, "Oi, Ma and Pa, are we having fish and chips today?" It's just...
Oh, I could bloody murder a curry tonight, love. Britain's biggest plan in order to bring America back to Britain.
I thought about that! It is the most insidious form of British imperialism. Peppa Pig is going to corrupt your American children to speak Queen's English. Soon enough, they'll be out in the streets doing street urchin stuff. They're going to sell newspapers and they're going to ask for more soup because they're hungry. I'm sorry, sir, can I have another? I'm hungry. Meanwhile, the Queen's armada will invade with their croquet butts and their tea bags and their giraffes. Okay.
So yeah, this is a thing that basically is amusing someone.
That's incredible. And even beyond how funny it sounds, this deserves to be a proper study case, if you ask me. I want to see some college kid do a thesis about how Peppa Pig is creating a new form of slang in Midwestern America. Just imagine some school in freaking, I don't know, in Michigan. The entire class, just children.
Well, the US, I mean, it's their fault for trying to basically make their own differences between the English language and the American English language by calling a garage a garage, a garden a yard.
Well, a garage is the original French word for it. Apartments will now be called lofts! Lofts!
Oh, no. Apartments in this country are called flats.
Oh, no! Flats!
The attic is what is called a loft.
Oh, no, I'm culturally confused. What am I going to do with my life now?
Oh, no, the Energy Core Powers nationally confused is here.
Okay. I think we're having too much fun. We need to rain down the laughter and get to the next topic now.
Yes,
which is...
that would be,
It is no laughing matter, let me tell you.
I can tell you that a situation has transpired which was definitely not a laughing matter whatsoever.
Wait, are we talking about the same thing?
If it has anything to do with how things went between your country and my country, then yes.
Oh, you mean football? I don't care about that.
Nah, no one cares about that.
All.
But unless you care about racism to our black players might be thing. Yeah.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing, and it was awful. And it was an embarrassment to England, an embarrassment to football fans of the English. And rightly so, these racists were called out.
Football, of all sports, really brings out the worst in people. Football fans may be the worst on the planet, really.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but actually no, I'm not, because it's true. But politicians and society basically telling you that boys will be boys when it comes to football and sports, and that being competitive
sports!
And sore,
you'll be good at those,
and being sore winners and losers, and being petty.
I hear that your country has a problem with violence towards women when the men who are drunk and furious because their team lost come back home and beat their wives. Is that true?
Half true, because the women are also doing it too, to their husbands. Let's put it this way. in my area at least of England, you don't want to mess with the women here. If they want to deck you, they will do so.
Okay,
so they'll take a man on and punch him straight in the face if they feel like it. So
that sounds like something worth televising.
I think I can say this because I don't think anyone around this area would be watching this video, but on the night that the football was going on and when we lost, I heard a woman scream at another woman across the way from where I live, and she was telling this woman to let her into her house. I'm cleaning up her dialogue a bit.
Let me in! Like a vampire.
And
yes.
So I think that tells you exactly how rough the the neighborhood can get, regardless of gender around this area. Though,
yes.
But I will not devalue the importance of talking about, domestic violence.
Domestic violence, yes.
So,
or racism.
Yes,
indeed.
or racism.
Or the fact that the football industry is inherently corrupted.
Indeed
it's an institutional nightmare.
Indeed it is. I've already ranted about it on Twitter a bit. I think Madhog has seen those tweets.
Actually, I am yet to see them. I have not checked Twitter all day.
Actually,
and I'm feeling great!
I mentioned this on the aftermath, the day after the incident occurred.
Okay, that is weird. They did not show up on my history, on my dash.
It's just, to me, it's very baffling that sports that is based on solidarity and union between players and teamwork sort of thing.
I mean, I guess on paper is that.
Yeah, they stress the importance of it and yet cannot practice it, including their fans. It's kind of like it goes out the window. And the biggest problem with sports, and why it has all these negative things attached to it, is because society puts great importance on competitiveness, and that basically creates this new pressure, new stress, and that basically brings out the worst in people as well.
Football is a $1 billion industry, at the very least. There are a lot of interests, political, social, economic, and otherwise. It also makes it easier to manipulate the population of your country in such a way that it distracts them from the real problems.
Yeah.
By redirecting their anger and energy towards petty, useless things. Such as getting mad because your team lost against that other team that also happens to be of the same area. And I have never understood this about football. It's stupid and it makes no sense when a city will have two teams in it competing against each other, basically assuring that there will always be conflict and disunity between all the people that live in the same area.
It's always been stupid to me as well, honestly. I've never got reasons of why...
At least American football, as dumb and not a sport as it is, at least they only have one football team per city. Because even they realize that having two football teams per city would be silly. I remember this one episode of Monday Night Raw from a few years back.
Oh no.
Yes, I'm sorry. That took place in, I believe, Manchester. As a way to gather a cheap pop from the crowd, they decided on that show, because it's wrestling, you see, to mention the local football team. They decided to mention Manchester United. It made sense at the time. They are in Manchester, so they want to reference Manchester United, the team from Manchester, and there even was a famous football player in the arena on the front row seats from that very same team. They had planned this far ahead. They wanted to have the crowd pop for the mention of the team and the player from that team that was in the arena for that specific occasion. You know what the problem was?
What?
3/4 of that arena was filled with people who were fans of the other Manchester team, which was not Manchester United.
Oh dear.
So they booed all this, and it was hysterical. Once again, what can you expect from WWE, the same company that doesn't know that Britain did not adopt the euro as currency? Oh boy.
Yep, because our country is very proud of its currency.
There's a lot that could be said about that, and has been said in the past.
Yeah.
But I think we should move on
away.
to...
Yeah.
Yes, move away from this.
From one rage-inducing thing to another, I would say. I don't know what I got killed by. I keep getting killed by something invisible. Anyway, rage-inducing things.
Speaking of which...
Egretsuko, as part of the Davar is late to the party theme, that is always a part of my life. Me and my sweetheart have watched Egretsuko, and we actually enjoy the show quite a lot. It is very cute, it is very funny at times, and it really, looks into the, realistic portrayals of the daily struggles of being a Japanese salaryman.
Have you watched only season 1?
Only season 1 so far.
Oh, okay, so I'm going to say this. You might want to reserve your final opinion about how realistic Agretsuko is for when you've watched all 3 seasons. Because, and I will not spoil it to you, but as far as my feelings are concerned about the show, I enjoyed season 1 enough, as it was. I was thoroughly annoyed by season 2, and I actively detested season 3. So there is a bit of a degrading scale from season to season, in my estimation. I would like to hear your opinion once you get through all those episodes.
I will. Yeah, we will do. It's just that right now season 1 has pretty much nailed quite well the
obsessive, soul-crushing atmosphere of work culture.
Yeah, and elitism and bullying.
Misogyny.
Yep.
That too. It's Animal Crossing by way of The Office, but a lot more realistic than The Office, at least as far as Season 1 is concerned. And I say that fully knowing that this is a cartoon with anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I did this week was watch... Well, not this week, but a few weeks ago, I watched Luca, which I will summarize by basically saying in one tweet, which is basically me saying something along the lines of, okay, move along, nothing to see here, just another Pixar movie with emotional investment involved that gives you the feels, nothing to see here, move along.
Would you like me to tell you what I thought as an Italian man about Luca?
Yes, I actually be intrigued about that since it was...
I didn't like it very much. I did not like it very much. I now understand how people from other cultures feel, or might feel, when Disney and or Pixar decides to do a film that theoretically panders to that culture, but it really offers a very sanitized, very idealized, somewhat fabricated, nostalgic version of that culture, of that nationality, of that history. And I could see right through it, because I am in fact an Italian, in case you didn't know it. And I was annoyed by this. Thoroughly annoyed. You might not know this, but here in Italy, just like in any other country in the world,
Yeah.
we tend to have different regional accents, you know? Somebody from the deep south will sound different from somebody on the deep north,
Yeah.
and everything in between. But of course, you as an English viewer or an American viewer might not realize that, because every single character in this film talks with the stereotypical Italian-American accent. Because otherwise you wouldn't know that these people are supposed to be Italian if they don't have a stereotypical Italian-American accent. Oh, of course that doesn't count for the protagonists. No, the protagonists don't have an accent. They just have the occasional Italian word or made-up colloquialism forcefully inserted in their Midwestern accent performance.
Yeah, like...
So you will have this child saying Santa Mozzarella, which I hated, and you will have all those things that made me really not like this film.
Also, Silencio Bruno.
They did the research because they did get a couple of things right, including Gerolamo Trombetta. That joke about how you shake hands, you know? You do the Girolamo part, which is basically a pun for turning. And then you do the Trombetta part, which, like the trumpet, you pull and push. Of course, I have to explain this to you because you, as a non-Italian, would not understand what the deal is with Girolamo Trombetta. But now, hopefully, you understand better.
Well, yeah, I would hope so.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Since I am not enjoying this film for various personal reasons, or indeed various personal and cultural reasons,
Yeah.
I become more keenly aware about some background issues that might not figure into the main plot. It seems obvious to me that Luca was trying to capture a very specific moment in time. Mainly the late 50s and early 60s. I would say more the 60s. There's the Vespa, there is the well-dressed douchebag, which has the most annoying voice in existence, by the way, and I know that he's been played by an Italian actor who was asked to play that specific role in that way. So many cues really inform about the aesthetic, the temporal aesthetic of this film, being the 1960s. And there is something that bothers me about that, because you see how the parents of the female lead of this film,
Yeah.
the child that says Santa Mozzarella every 2 seconds, I don't even remember what her actual name is, I just call her Mozzarella, because that's what she says constantly. Her parents appear to be separated, right?
Yeah.
Her father is in that fishing town, her mother is in Genova.
Yeah.
Divorce was not a thing in Italy up until 1970.
Oh.
Italy has a bit of a problem, and that problem is called the Vatican. We have the world's capital of Catholicism firmly planted in the middle of our capital, and they routinely influence very important political decisions. And thanks to them, and thanks to the politicians who work for them, we were very late to the party in Europe when it comes to things that, in retrospect, might have seemed obvious to have centuries ago, including divorce. Nobody could ever get a divorce in Italy up until a referendum in the year 1970, when it finally became legal to get divorced. So, I have to assume that Mozzarella's parents here are supposed to be divorced. Except they literally cannot be divorced up until much later. This very much looks like the 1960s Italy, to me. And I could be wrong, mind you. I was not around in the 60s, but this looks very much like the kind of aesthetic I would expect from an Italian film that came out in that period of time. And even if they were not legally divorced and they were just separated, just literally living in different places, even if they were just separated without being divorced, you have to consider how provincial and backwards a lot of Italian people, especially in those small towns, are. They can never stop gossiping and judging you for anything. And I can assure you that being separated like that would be frowned upon, would be looked as a social taboo. So it's not something that can just happen without repercussions, social repercussions, without people being terrible about it. And this film really put a big magnifying glass on the Disney machine at work, in which they just do what they do best, and that is capture some sort of ideal moment in time about a culture that was never really ideal in the first place, and sell it back to you in a bid to seem respectful of that culture. So I did not like Luca. Not particularly. No.
Right.
No.
That's interesting, though. I actually like learning about history stuff.
A married couple can't really just be separated all willy-nilly like that without becoming ostracized by the people around them, which clearly was not a problem in this idealized version of Italy that doesn't exist and has never existed. That takes me out of the film, not the fishmen, not the fantasy fish people. I have an update on my
Moby
Dick experience. Yes, it's a short one though.
Okay.
I have not watched any new Moby Dick media in preparation for this podcast, but I decided to go double check a little fact about it.
Yeah.
So the actor who played Ishmael in 1956's John Huston directed Moby Dick.
Right.
You know how I told you? I told you that he looks pretty old. Too old for that role.
Yeah.
I checked what his age was at the time. He was 42.
Okay.
He looks much older than that, if I'm being honest. But he was 42, which is still not the right age for Ishmael. Again, he's supposed to be a lad.
Yeah.
You're not a lad at 42. Oh wait, it gets better. Do you know how old Gregory Peck was? He played Captain Ahab, which was supposed to be a seasoned captain who had 40 years of experience hunting whales.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate because Gregory Peck was 40 at the time. So Ishmael is older than Ahab.
Wow. Okay.
Hollywood. So this gave me a chuckle and I wanted to relay this information to you. It's pointless trivia, so you know it's the best kind of information.
Kind of reminds me of that one time I saw a movie on on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and
oh, basically the ancestor of riff tracks.
yeah, and basically there's one movie that basically they covered where basically
Yes.
college kids, but you only could get people in their 40s and 50s or something like ridiculous.
Oh, that one is quite famous. Yes, there is a problem with Hollywood that they've only begun to fix recently, in which they cast people who are a bit too old to pass as literal children. It's even worse in the world of voice acting. You know, listening to Huey, Dewey, and
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
I was about to say Louie 2 times. You know them. Listening to those kids in the DuckTales reboot, which I went on record, on Twitter I should say, to say that I disliked it immensely.
Yes.
Certainly having those children of about 10 years old sounding like they were in their 40s or 30s at the very least.
I say 30s.
It didn't help. It didn't help at all in my enjoyment or lack thereof of the show.
Yeah. Even I didn't get that, why they sounded so much older than they actually were.
They hired famous people to voice them, I believe. The blue one is voiced by the guy who also gave his voice to Sonic the Hedgehog in the Sonic film.
Ah. Oh yeah, now I recognize it. Now that I think about it.
Yes. So, I wanted to talk to you about my experience with Disgaea 6.
Oh yeah, Disgaea 6. Which you...
Unfortunately, I cannot do that because I have to talk about Space Jam: A New Legacy instead.
Yeah, I've not watched it yet, so...
Don't watch it. Don't ever watch it.
Even if it goes out for free.
If you're curious about it. If it goes out for free, it's the only way to watch it because you don't pay to watch commercials, now do you? Space Jam: A New Legacy. I cannot even be mad at this film. It's exactly everything I expected it to be. A soulless corporate drivel designed to advertise Warner Bros. Intellectual properties a reference-driven slog that serves as advertisement for a product to sell you, except the commercial itself has now become the product that sells itself because of your fabricated nostalgia for the original Space Jam, which was in itself a commercial. We have come full circle with the Reagan-era commercialism, in which corporations were allowed to market directly at children, and then those children grew up with the toys they bought from all the shows they watched as children. And now their nostalgia for those commercials would become the fuel for all future projects by those corporations designed to appease to that nostalgia that they have created, and thus everything comes full circle with Space Jam: A New Legacy, which is nothing but a showcase of IPs, a flaunting of IPs that feeds on that targeted marketing that passes as your nostalgia now. Oh, I recognize that character and that franchise from my childhood. I know that film I liked, that meant a lot to me. Isn't it great for it to be here, to have those scenes ruined by injecting Looney Tunes in it, in ways that are not even funny all that much? Isn't it great to be reminded about how my nostalgia for The Matrix, for example, to pick a random title that's present in this film, how my nostalgia for The Matrix is now being weaponized against me, that exploits my feelings for profit? Isn't it great to go watch a film that actively, by its own design, reminds you that everything that Hollywood produces is nothing but commercial for either its own machine or for theme parks if it's Disney? This is the world we live in, and I am reminded by that with every single minute of Space Jam: A New Legacy. It's one thing to go watch a Disney Marvel film, a commercial for both itself and theme parks, but it's another thing altogether to watch such lack of substance, such flimsy narrative that only exists to flaunt IPs. The quote, "I understood that reference," is now a substitute for substance. There once was commercialism designed to sell you products, but now, in the late stage phase of capitalism, the commercial has become the product that sells itself through pop cultural osmosis. You could say I did not enjoy this film very much.
Yeah, I could say that.
You could also say that ever since the pandemic, I have become much less patient with this kind of blatant, cynical bullpucky. It is such a wasteful film, I would say. It's a waste of quality animations, which is lovingly crafted by all those artists that were not credited by the film.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That's bullshit.
Yes. Oh, speaking of which, the world of Harry Potter is featured in this film, which means it is pretty much guaranteed J.K. Rowling is getting money off of this enterprise too. So this film is now actively promoting transphobia because it's giving money to the most high-profile transphobe. Well, there you go. There are some good, quotation mark, good moments here and there. Don Cheadle is fun in the role of the villain. The villain named Al G. Rhythm, because he's an evil algorithm. In a perfect example of tonal deficiency, Warner Bros. Does not even realize that algorithm pretty much represents them as a company. Greedy algorithm that controls everything in the Warner universe. and he tries to convince you to come and have fun in it, but then it turns on you the moment you're not having fun the way he wants you to have fun, which is no fun at all. That's capitalism. That's marketing, commercialism, all of that in a nutshell. And of course that is completely unregistered by the text of the film itself, because at the end of it all, we're still supposed to think, isn't Warner Bros. Just the coolest? Look over there, Mad Max Fury Road, I like that film. Look over there, there's Austin Powers too, for some ungodly reason. I remember that film. Hey, look over there, it's Rick and Morty. Isn't that funny to have Rick and Morty in this film for approximately 3 seconds? I watched that show. Isn't this hilarious? Aren't references so funny? Remember when back in the day, when shows like The Simpsons would basically use references to wink at the audience?
Yes.
And have fun with them, and then the idea of references gets hijacked by corporations and used as a vehicle for marketing. What else? Well, this is the culmination of that. Once again, Space Jam: A New Legacy is late-stage capitalism incorporated, encapsulated into a overly long, almost 2 hours film. A tour de force, a showreel, a showcase of Warner Bros. IPs in a way that makes Wreck-It Ralph 2 honest in comparison. There is one good joke.
Yeah.
One legitimately funny joke that made me laugh. That didn't make me pity laugh or casually chuckle. A legitimately good joke that deserved my full laughter.
Yeah.
And that joke is Michael B. Jordan gets confused for Michael Jordan. I assure you it's pretty funny in context. It's the only joke in the film that has a proper build, a suspenseful build, a proper framing, and a payoff. And now that I have spoiled it for you, you don't ever have to watch this film. And you're welcome for that. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I would have gone full socialist anarchist, fully radicalized on the left, after watching the Space Jam reboot, I would have said, what are you, crazy? That's never going to happen. Well, here we are. 5 years later, there's been a pandemic that really showcased just how spiteful and greedy all the social elites really are. There's been 4 years of the Trump presidency. There's been Brexit in your country.
Yep.
There's been everything from Russian bots to anti-trans hate movements.
And we also have the Chinese government trying to put their propaganda through the American machine.
Oh yes, the Chinese government utterly owning Hollywood soul. Whatever the hell that means.
And the video game industry.
Oh yes, don't forget about that. Don't forget about Bobby Kotick. Is it really that much of a surprise that some of us might just become less attuned and less patient to all the corporate bullpucky that we have to live through? Selling your soul to some corporate overlord has become now a basic requirement to live in a society. Because, once again, I remind you, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Everything you know and love as a kid is now a weapon against your own feelings. Because you have to buy product. Don't ever think for yourself. Just buy product and get excited for next product. I don't remember who quoted this first, but it's the life we have now. It's the capitalistic dystopia that We were warned about, but we laughed it off. Just like we laughed off at the idea of Nazis ever becoming a real threat again. And here we are.
This took a turn.
I'm not even mad. I'm just existentially drowsy. Space Jam is nothing. It's effectively the most expensive, spiffy-looking commercial that's ever been made. And again, you could say that about every Hollywood blockbuster nowadays, being a commercial for something or the other. But there are layers to what should be considered acceptable from a viewer standpoint. And I think Space Jam takes that margin and just chucks it into a volcano or something. Of course, the volcano then explodes and Eat at Joe's appears in the sky, because it turns out there is a literal chain called Eat at Joe's, and they paid to have their brand included in the film. The analogy is taking a turn here. The analogy is escaping me, but I hope I made my point abundantly clear about Space Jam. It's not just that it is a big commercial for Warner Bros. It's not just that it isn't really much of a film on its own two legs, as it is utterly reliant on references, more so than the original Space Jam. It isn't just any of that. It's the fact that now we celebrate it. We celebrate this film for being a commercial. This is where we are now. We worship billionaires because they are billionaires. We celebrate commercialism uncritically. We allow the powers that be to continue being the powers that be. Nothing matters. Our childhood is a lie. Wake up, sheeple, or something. This is getting grim.
Yeah, extremely grim.
Again, I was not expecting Space Jam: A New Legacy of all things to make me so grimly aware of my absolute insignificance in the face of it all. Who needs elder gods when you have corporations? Okay. Well, I guess that does it for tonight.
Yeah, I guess we should probably end it there for the night, because what else can we do?
Yes, has it been an hour yet?
It definitely has been, that's for sure.
Okay, well, in that case, I think we can... I'm looking at that exit stage left. It seems very inviting to me right now, so we should go there and end this podcast. I'm sorry, everybody, this was a bit of a downer. Sometimes you need to vent about the things that frustrate you, about the world you haven't chosen to live in.
Yep. And I'm just going to say it, that officially we need to topple the rich and corporations that have control.
This is now officially a call for action. Go eat the rich, repossess their wealth, and build cities for the homeless while you're at it. Anyway, this is parody. We wouldn't ever say eat the rich and mean it. No.
It's just a metaphor.
That would be bad.
It's just a metaphor.
It's just hyperbole. That's what it is. We're being a funny comic duo saying wild things. Haha, look at us. We are going insane. Okay. So, if you don't have a funny segue to get us out of here, I think I will have to come up with something on the spot.
Yes, please do.
Or blimey! Those Yanks be crazy, mate!
Good night and take care, buddy.
Good night. Oh, they did not even have the original Space Jam theme in the new Space Jam. They totally would have gotten me if they had the original theme song. Are you kidding me? That song is great. Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Buy our products.
Blasphemy. Take care.